All right, so I've got a little bit of a different video for you today. 2020 was this crazy year where so many people didn't know what was going to happen, right? We had the pandemic and COVID and everything going on, shutdowns, job loss. It was just an unbelievable year. And as a real estate agent, I really was unsure what that would do to our market. Little did I know that we'd have one of the best real estate sales years of my entire career, only to take that into 2021. And so I thought I would actually introduce you to some of my clients that purchased homes during the pandemic, get their reaction on if they would do it again, something that they went through, and I think it'll be a good insight for you. Stay tuned. Oh, look at you. Oh my goodness.
Hey.
So crisp. It's like you guys do this for a living or something. That is awesome. So I appreciate you taking some time to chat.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So we're talking to people about, essentially buying a house during the pandemic, right? It was, who knew that last year we'd be where we are today, right? You kind of had a little bit of a gamble. So I thought I'd ask you guys a few questions around what made you choose Orlando and a little bit about your process.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. So you guys you could move anywhere in the world, right? You guys are at this point kind of like entrepreneurs. You could have moved anywhere. Why'd you choose Orlando?
So our original plan was to travel the world with the kids for a year. Okay. And then COVID hit. So we went to, so Leslie's been a travel agent specializing in Disney and Universal for a little over 6 years now. And so we wanted to obviously continue that and use that as income as we were location independent. So traveling the world. We've been on this kick to become financially independent for quite some time. So we sold our house here in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, where we're currently from, about almost 2 years ago now. And then that was the plan. And then COVID hit and
yeah. And so then we kind of had to readjust, and we had a long time dream of launching our own travel agency. And so it just, when the traveling the world idea kind of came to a halt, we thought, now or never, right? So
now or never.
We launched the travel agency this last September. And so that's when we were like, we want to be as close to Disney as humanly possible because it just makes sense.
So we're moving for Disney. I mean, it boils down to that.
That's fair enough. I mean, that's part of the reason we moved here. So it totally makes sense. So let me ask you this. So you guys, you're not very risk adverse then. You're starting a new company, you're moving across country, you're buying a house during the middle of a pandemic. What was that like? Like, tell us maybe a little bit of what were some of the decision-making factors that made you so confident to make that move when the world was maybe falling apart?
You say so confident. I'll say that there was a lot of anxiety and tears involved, multiple stages during this, but.
Right. So always our most important thing is being together, and then travel is a huge priority for us. And so we keep those things in perspective the entire time. And then from there, it's like, whatever. So if anything happens, we know we can always start over. We know we can always get another house. It's not the end of the world. So we decided to sell the house again with the intent of maybe traveling the world for a year before COVID, like 8 months before COVID, 9 months before COVID hit. And then we just kind of roll with the punches. So COVID hit, we had sold the house, we closed on the house, we were in a rent house, and it just like the dream kind of morphed. And we had always wanted to move to Orlando eventually, but it made sense for us. So at the time that we started looking, the housing market wasn't what it is now, but honestly, even if it was, we still probably would have made the same decision.
Yeah. And we also had, to be fair, we've probably been working for about 3 years now to become financially independent. And so that kind of helped in that confidence to make that leap because we felt secure enough with our finances to be able to do so. So
yeah, that's huge. And so talk to us about the process. You guys bought virtually, right? So you didn't see the house before you actually bought it. So tell us about that process.
Well, you were key.
Appreciate that.
I don't think we could have done it with confidence without you for sure.
Yeah, so we're pretty comfortable with that process. I used to build houses for a living, so I did that for about 7 years, and I've been in facility management, commercial facility management for 10 years. So I'm real comfortable seeing floor plans, just a floor plan and knowing what it's gonna look like, but especially you going out to these houses and doing the video thing, just walkthroughs. It was super helpful. That pretty much made it for us. And then from there, we would take pretty much like we knew kind of an idea of a floor plan that we wanted to find before we actually found the house that we ended up closing on. And we found those builders that had those floor plans. And so we would get on their websites and just play around with their floor plans. So like the moment that we saw our house come available, we knew we had to jump on it.
Yeah, I know that's the one, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Okay. So then two questions for you guys and I'll let you go. So number one, the video things are huge because you look online, you see the photos and all that kind of thing, but like, you don't know the doors, the drawers, does it smell funny? Like all those kind of things. And so if you had to go back and do it over again, buying off of video, would you do it again?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then any regret about buying during the pandemic?
Zero.
Not at all.
Honestly, zero. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, matter of fact, like we have conversations probably at least once a week on like, how did we luck out? We just really felt like we bought at the most absolute perfect time. So
yeah, it really worked out well. But honestly, if even if we were starting now, like I'd still probably do it again, pretty much the exact same way. It was, it really goes back to keeping our priorities in mind. So we knew we wanted to be close to Orlando. We knew we wanted a place that we could afford, so we could still kind of afford to travel. Yep. We knew we were moving for Disney, and we knew that we wanted to stay in the house long term. So I really don't care if the market dips short term after this. I mean, who knows if it will or not, but it doesn't matter to us.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome. And then I love plugging my clients' small businesses and that sort of thing. So make sure you plug your guys' channel. How can people get a hold of you if they're looking to travel or follow your journey?
Sure. So as far as the travel agency goes, it's Fantastical Vacations. You can find us over at Fantastical Vacations on Facebook, Instagram, and websites.
Yeah, and we have a podcast and a YouTube channel. So if you search Addicted to the Mouse, you can find us on both locations. The podcast, we publish twice weekly, and we've been doing it for 4 years now.
Yeah.
I love it. Thanks so much for hanging out with me.
All right. Thanks, Ken.
All right. What's up, man?
Hey, man. Take two. Sorry about that. It's bad connection sometimes up here with whenever the clouds come rolling in. It looks like it always seems to be a little bit sketchy.
No worries, man. No worries. So listen, we're doing this video around people that relocated during the pandemic, purchased a house, and
Yep.
You obviously came to mind because you relocated cross country. So I guess a couple questions for you. Like, why Orlando?
So we vacationed down here a couple of times, and we found it to be our favorite place to visit here in the U.S. So we fell in love with it. We love the beaches. We love we love the palm trees, and I grew up in Seattle, and it's very gloomy. So it just seemed like the right move.
That makes sense, man. That makes sense. So any hesitancy? I mean, buying by video, and B, buying, during a pandemic, was that nerve-wracking, or tell us about that?
Not really, because it didn't feel like it was overwhelming because of the cross-country move. We didn't really deal with many people. It's actually seemed a little bit easier than I could imagine with if we weren't in a pandemic. But it didn't feel any different than just moving on normal circumstances. It just felt the process was very smooth, and especially working with you and your team, it just the flow was seamless.
Man, I appreciate that. I do.
Yeah.
Well, it's you bought an amazing area. Disney's moving in, so that's exciting for you, I'm sure.
Saw that. Yep.
House values flying through the roof. That's cool. Any suggestions you'd give to somebody relocating?
Do your homework for sure. Get familiar with the area. I would say, like what we did is we took a field trip. We booked a trip, took a long weekend, came down to the Orlando area, and just familiarized ourselves with the different neighborhoods surrounding Orlando, and trying to find the best fit for us. Something that's fairly close to the beaches, but yet, close to the parks as well, because, you get a lot of family that come in and visit once they find out you've made that move to a very touristy type area.
They start inviting themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say it would have to depend on the preference of the individual, but I think no matter what your preference is, take the time to come down for a long weekend and meet with a great realtor who knows the area like yourself, and go and look at different houses in different neighborhoods. And then, it helps narrow down your decision. That's the best advice I could give.
Yeah, I love that. Very, very cool, man. Any regrets?
Yeah, zero.
That's so cool.
I couldn't be happier being here. Amanda and I feel like we're on vacation every day.
That's amazing. Very cool, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking some time.
Absolutely. Anytime.
I like what Jose calls the field trip. I mean, we come out here, get to know the areas, do the shops, do the diners, figure out how close you are to Disney or how far away from Disney you are, whatever it is that's important to you. Get to know the community first. And then after that, the house becomes secondary. You guys can fly home. We'll do a full video tour of the house for you. Open every door, every drawer, I say. Figure out if there's any smells, whatever it is, send you that video, and then you guys get an opportunity to take a look at that house, get to know it, and after that point, you know the community, you know the house, and you'll feel way more comfortable.
Hey, Ken, this is Chris.
What's up, man? How are you?
Dude, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing very well, man. Thanks for taking some time to chat about this.
Oh, yeah, you bet. My pleasure.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about, why you chose Orlando.
We love Central Florida. We found ourselves traveling back for vacation each year. So we really were attracted to the amusement parks, the beaches, the cruises, the lifestyle. Something also is just the plant life, the animal life, and the weather is really, really awesome. There was something that really struck us, though, and it was the timing priority of the trip. We came across a quote one day that really hit home. And it says, instead of wondering when your next vacation is, maybe you should set up a life that you don't need to escape from.
Shut up. That's awesome. I love that, man. And so you're looking around, though, and there's a pandemic going on. Who knows what's going to happen with the world? You guys still made the choice to move cross country.
Yeah. Moved from northern Utah all the way out to Central Florida.
It's wild,
it's been
man.
a crazy time.
And you're obviously not alone. There's a lot of people moving here. Any advice that you'd give them?
Biggest thing is really making the decision and not looking back. Obviously, you have to make sure you work things out. And if you're working with your family or your spouse, it may be extra steps. But honestly, it's we were pretty nervous just with our lack of exposure to residential scene out here in Central Florida.
Sure.
And once we found a good realtor and worked with you, and you're able to help us out with a lot of our questions, and everyone has unique questions. I think it's just a matter of having that guide to get you through some of those tough questions and finding what home really suits you.
Yeah, I love that. So in that, choosing an agent and choosing the area and all that kind of stuff, what do you think the hardest part of the process was?
I think the hardest part was getting to know the different areas. We were so stuck on only looking at Kissimmee or Davenport, which they're great areas, right? There's nothing wrong with them. It's just a matter of what fits you better or best. And when you started branches out of some of the more tourism areas to Winter Garden and out of that scene a little bit, we started to find places that we didn't just we loved. I think it's just opening up your eyes to just the different scenes that you're familiar with and others may not be until you show them.
Yeah, that's a huge part. You look online and so many things are so everybody knows Celebration, everybody knows, Champions Gate or Reunion maybe. If they start off visiting Disney, those are the ones that come to mind. But then what does day-to-day life actually look like in those areas?
Exactly. Well, and I didn't realize until we moved here how close we really are to everything. Okay. We're outside of those areas that I mentioned earlier. We're up in Winter Garden, but it's only an hour and a half to St. Augustine, to Clearwater, to some of these beautiful beach areas. So I think it's really a matter of what lifestyle you really want to fit in, where you want to be, and just realizing how close you are to everything still.
Last question for you. Any regrets?
Not really. I can see how there could be regrets if I couldn't see my family as often as we have. Yeah. We've had people come out to visit, and we've gone out to go visit. And it's a long distance, but airplane rides, quick 4 or 5 hour trip. My largest regret is probably focused on just the fact that we didn't do this sooner. I think that's really what we come back to every time. How could we have done this sooner?
I love it, dude. Very cool. So I think we're seeing a theme here. Getting to know the areas really a little bit better than what you maybe just see online is pretty important. So Chris and his wife, they got to know the areas. They came down thinking they wanted one thing and then completely ended up buying something else. And that happens all the time. People see stuff online. This looks really good. And then they get there and maybe it's not as good as they think. And so they end up pivoting to a different area based on their needs. And so there's no good or bad areas. It's just what's best for you. And so that's something to consider. All right, there you have it. There's some clients of ours that purchased during the pandemic. And here's the deal. You're never going to time the market perfectly. The market could be falling apart or it could be doing extremely well. And there's no time to know when is exactly right other than what's exactly right for you. And that's what my team and I are here to do, is help you navigate the open market, figure out where you're at, and put you in the best place moving forward. So whether you're looking to buy or sell anywhere in Central Florida, we'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. Shoot me an email at ken@pozekgroup.com. And then make sure you follow me over on Instagram at Ken Pozek. I'm putting out stories there every single day about like life in Orlando, Disney, dining, new businesses, new developments, keeping you updated. And then last thing, hit that subscribe button before you leave, because we're putting out new videos on YouTube every single week. We'll see you guys on the next video.